So about a year ago now, I was taking a walk through the Science Museum, as you do, when I suddenly stumbled across a computer running a game called Egglien. Now the first thing I thought to myself upon seeing this game for the first time was, wow, that is a terrible misspelling of the word alien. The second thing I thought to myself was, this is pretty good. It's nothing groundbreaking, but the gameplay and the artist clearly had a lot of love and care put into it. Then I looked at a tiny little plaque next to the computer and saw that the game's developer was 14 years old, and I spent the rest of my day contemplating all of the life decisions I had made up until that point. Egglien, a portmanteau of egg and alien in case you couldn't tell. It's a platformer game where you float up ledges and kill enemies by reproducing like no other creature in existence. That's not a joke, that is a direct quote from the game. The story here is that humanity ended up using so much electricity that eventually the Earth said, yeah, nah brother, I ain't doing this shit no more, and just straight up exploded. Wait. Am I part of the problem? Many years later, an alien girl named Astery is minding her own business when she suddenly receives a message from an unknown voice, telling her that she is the only one who can save Earth and bring it back into existence. And the only way she can do that is by shooting ungodly amount of fetuses at every creature in space who are now all unanimously trying to kill her, by the way. She also brings her friend Siren along for the journey. Or is it Seren? Beats me. Okay, all jokes aside, for crying out loud, there is a dedicated reproduce button! Okay, all jokes aside, the main gimmick of Egglien is, of course, your eggs. Not only do you use them to float upwards, you also use them to break through blocks and kill enemies. And despite how silly this whole thing sounds, it works surprisingly well as a mechanic. Since you always float upwards while shooting, you have to think about what position you're going to attack each enemy in, or else you have the potential to get stuck in a corner, or, God forbid, float straight into a stray bullet, which definitely does not still make me angry just thinking about it. Personally, I'd split each enemy into two categories, floaters and shooters. Shooters attack you with bullets, while floaters aren't afraid to just get the job done themselves. There's no health bar in this game, meaning one hit and you're dead. However, on the flip side, you have unlimited lives, so you can try each level again as many times as you need to. If you're stuck on a particular level, you can simply try another strategy without ever worrying about the words game and over appearing on your screen. The levels themselves, while short, are all carefully designed around the control scheme of play, and are each unique enough to the point where I can remember several of them off the top of my head as I'm writing the script for this video. I think the short length of the levels actually works in the game's favour, as it feels genuinely fun to try and beat every level, or hell, even the whole game, as quickly as you can. I've done it myself numerous times even, including in a recording for this video. The game itself has 5 worlds, with 8 levels and a boss each, which may not sound like a lot, but for me personally it means I'm able to just pick the game up when I'm bored and kill half an hour or so running through the whole thing, without feeling like I'm entering into some sort of commitment. And for those of you who don't care about that and still think the game is short, come on, it's £5, what are you doing? Oh yeah, you may have noticed I said the word boss earlier. Let's talk about those now. The bosses themselves aren't too hard to beat, which I don't mind, but I could understand how someone looking for a challenge may be disappointed. All boss fights involve some combination of both shooting and floating, but otherwise they're pretty simple. My favourite thing about these bosses though are the small cutscenes that introduce them before each of their fights. These are where you'll be introduced to such charming characters as this mutant bat thing that's a bit behind with the times, and this sentient bowling ball who speaks, I don't know, is that like Welsh or something? Let me end this poor monster's suffering. Well, you better do it quick, Astery, because he's turning into a furry! Now, as much as I love this game, it is a fairly simple platformer at the end of the day, so why am I dedicating an entire video to it? Well, like I said, I first found it during a video game exhibit at the Science Museum in London, which I don't have any photos of because I love wiping my devices and hate backing them up beforehand. In one of the corners, they were doing an exhibition on games that have been part of BAFTA's annual Young Game Designers competition, where people aged 10 to 18 make their own games in the hopes of winning an award. And surprise surprise, you'll never believe what one of the games on display was. In fact, while I did try out a few of these young designer games during that visit to the Science Museum, Egglien is the only one I remember clear as day in my head. Let me repeat the thing I said at the beginning of the video. The guy who made this was 14 years old. The most important thing I was doing at 14 was deciding which character I would be in my next Discord roleplay. I really wish that was a joke, but here we are anyway. Like I said earlier, the controls for this game are buttery smooth, and you won't have any problem making tight movements to avoid those pesky eye clouds, which there seems to be a lot of in this game for some reason. The art and animation work here is also really good. Each enemy and character you'll see is instantly recognisable, despite the low pixel art resolution and monochrome colour palette. For those of you who have watched my video on Downwell, I gave that game a similar compliment on this art style as well. But not only that, Asteroid also has this bouncing effect when jumping and landing on the ground, which, while a small detail, really helps the game feel more alive, I'd say. And the game's music is just as good, if not better. Tracks aren't just catchy, they're unique and memorable, and it's one of those soundtracks I genuinely love listening to as I'm playing the game, and don't just serve as background noise for me. And before any of you go into the comments and say something like, oh well, he's only 14, he must have had some help with all of these things. No. Seriously, look in the credits. Apart from the menu font and some sound effects, he made everything you see and hear in the game all by himself. Now here's the thing. The main thing I love about this game is, as you know, how amazing of an effort it is for somebody so young. I've already mentioned that. But that begs the question, will I still think so highly of things like the art and the music if it was developed by somebody older? And honestly, I'm not sure if I would. But I'm also not sure if that even matters. Sure, what you have here at the end of the day is a fairly simple platformer that I usually wouldn't bother making a dedicated video about. But that's the thing, it was developed by someone who at the time was only 14 years old. And I know I've kept on saying that over and over and over again throughout this video, but it really is just that impressive to me. I didn't think I'd be capable of doing anything like this when I was his age. And let's be honest, I'm 20 years old now and I still don't. All in all, I want to leave you all with a question. If somebody so young can make something like this, what's stopping you from doing the same? Well, that just about wraps it up for this video. You know, I honestly never thought of myself as an alien per se. Well, I guess to all you humans out there, that is indeed what I am. And I guess that's what you all are to me. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Anyway, let me just do one last quick scan of the credits to see if I've missed anything, and I'll be on my... No way! Sid Fish was on this? I didn't know a fish was capable of operating a computer.